Assalamu alaikum, welcome to Heart to Heart. My name is Madiha and we're joined by Sister Masama Jaffer, who is a resident alama at Stanmore Mosque, and she also has qualifications in counselling. She's counselled hundreds of couples, individuals and families on various issues and topics, and Heart to Heart is a show that's all about our viewer. You can also email in with your questions, any problems you're facing at university, school or at home, on hearttoheart@safirtv.com, and Sister Masama will try her best to help you tackle your issues on a practical as well as a spiritual level. So thank you, Sister Masama, for joining us today. We've had loads of people email in with various issues and topics. I'm going to go straight into it as always. Here I've got someone that's emailed in with quite a sad story, saying that my father has left my mother and me and my siblings to live with another woman. He travels the world and goes to places he shouldn't. It really upsets me the way he has just tossed my mother and my family aside, but more than anything, I want to know if his sins will affect our lives. He used to bring haram earnings into the house. What should I do? How should I console my poor mother and siblings?
That is really, really sad.
Yeah, and it's sad that this person wants to take, console mother and siblings on him or herself.
Yeah, it's very sad. She's specifically asking about whether the sins will affect, the father's sins will affect them. The answer is no. The sins of each person is on themselves.
What about the haram earnings and the food that they're eating?
Again, if they didn't know about it, then it's not that, it's not going to, God's just. He's not going to, blame them for something that they did not know. It's all his doing. If he brought haram earnings into the house, if they did know about it and they encouraged it, then that's a different matter. So it depends on what the situation was. But again, it's up to him to provide for his family. The fact that he's just walked away from this family, she doesn't say how old the children, how old her and her siblings are, but the onus is on the father to take care of the children, not on the mother. Financially, the father should be supporting the children and the mother for taking care of the children. So if the children are living with the mother, then the father should be supporting his wife because she's doing his job for him. So he's responsible for all of that, which he's obviously not doing according to this letter. But I think the main things that she said was the concept of the sins and the haram earnings. She says, how do I console my mother and my siblings? I think it's about trying to move forward. What's happened has happened. If you keep dwelling on it, then it becomes a very negative cycle of self-pity, and you just end up wallowing in your own self-pity. So it's a matter of, okay, it's happened. What did we learn from it? Where's the growth from it? God hasn't abandoned us. My father may have done, but God hasn't. So he will take care of me. I always tell my children that I used to pray for God to give me enough life to take care of my children, because what would happen to my children if I died? And it suddenly struck me how arrogant that was, because I thought I was taking care of them, but it's not me, it's God, and God's choosing to use me to take care of them. And if I do die, he'll have someone else take care of them. He's not going to abandon his creation. So if she can understand that and believe that truly, then she can actually then help her siblings and her mother come to that realization as well. So,
and maybe obviously as the father has left, but if he used to bring haram earnings into the house, maybe in some way it's they've moved away from haram
and the
food
negative
and earnings
and the negativity of all that.
So maybe it's, in that way maybe it's a good thing. It's obviously a lot more complicated than that, but you have to I guess try and find the good in every situation.
Of course. And then actually sort of building a life which doesn't revolve around him at all. So doing things that they maybe used to do with him, so going out and going on holidays and things. And I don't know what the money situation is now that he's gone, but they I'm sure that if they belong to a community, they can get help, because as a woman, you have the right to ask for help. You shouldn't have to go out to work.
Yeah.
So that's there as well. But it's actually just putting the past in the past. It's happened. You can't control what other people do, but you can control your reactions to what other people do. And knowing that God hasn't abandoned me and there is growth in this for me. And maybe I needed to go through this to realize how strong I was. Maybe I needed to go through this to get closer to God. Maybe it brought me and my siblings closer together, me and my mother together. There's always a positive that will come out of it.
Yeah.
Always.
No, absolutely. No, thank you for that. I've got another question here that's saying, I'm a middle-aged man, been married for 20 years and seeking a second wife. I feel that I have a lot to offer a new wife, especially when you consider how many women are not finding husbands. The problem is that my current wife categorically refuses to be part of a polygamous marriage. For the last couple of years, I have grown very close to a divorced lady who has children of her own. I want to look after her, but without upsetting my current wife. How should I go about handling this?
I would ask the brother whether what he's saying makes you think that the intentions are all very pure. There are lots of women who don't have husbands. I have a lot to offer. So why wouldn't I? And again, God actually allows it. In fact, He encourages it, because the verse in the Holy Quran actually starts off with more rather than one. So it says marry. I can't remember if it's 4, 3 or 2. I can't remember the numbering. And if you feel you cannot keep justice, then marry only one. So God starts off with the plural before He goes into the one. So some of the ulama say that it means that God actually wants men to marry more than one. In the same way, for example, if you invited me to dinner and I said to you, I'd like to have a starter, a main meal and dessert, but if you can't do it, then just make the main meal. So it's not even if you can't keep justice, if you feel you can't. So it's very important that a man, before he goes down this route, actually really self-evaluates himself and thinks, can I keep justice between the two wives? What is my intention behind marrying a second wife? Now, he says it's because there are so many unmarried women and he has a lot to offer. Yes, he's right. There are lots of unmarried women. And it would be great if, men could marry more than one and keep justice. He says he has a lot to offer. What does he mean by that? Is it financially? Well, you don't have to marry someone to financially support them. You can financially support them without marriage. Is it actually the time that he has, the emotional support that he has? How good a husband is he with the first wife that he feels that he can have a second wife? He talks about the fact that he's become very close to this divorced woman. Now, did the intention of marriage, was it there before he met this divorced woman? Because he saw the bigger picture and he felt that there was a need and he has a lot to offer? Or once he'd got close to this divorced woman, now he's thinking, oh yeah, there is a need and I have a lot to offer. Do you see the difference?
Yeah.
So here he's trying to
trying to justify it.
Yes, and then maybe the intentions aren't as pure as he has made himself believe, or he's trying to make other people believe. That only he knows. I can't judge his intention. Only he knows what.
But if the first wife is categorically refusing, I don't know whether he's asked her or spoken to her about it, but it's quite a.
So if you're looking at the fiqh, if there is no marriage contract which specifies anything, and if the woman that he's going to marry is also a Shia Muslim, then he doesn't need, fiqh-wise, need the first wife's permission. Akhlaq is a totally different thing. I think if you concentrate on the fiqh, generally relationships tend to fall apart. So I could sit here and say, fiqh-wise, as a wife, I don't have to go out to work. I don't have to clean the house. I don't have to look after the children. I don't have to do anything. And that is my right as a wife. But the relationship wouldn't flourish. It wouldn't work. You can't just rely on the fiqh. There has to be an akhlaqi, a moral element that comes into it. So if his wife is dead set against it and he does go down the fiqh route and marries, yes, he may not have committed a sin as such, but will he still be able to maintain both relationships? Will she feel that she's lost her trust in him, and she can no longer have a stable relationship with him, how is he going to maintain that? What about his own children from the first wife? If if he's marrying this divorcee with children to help support her children, what about his other, if he has children from his first wife, how detrimental will it be to them?
But he does say that he wants to look after this lady, but without upsetting his current wife. Yeah. So there are,
So what sort of help does she need?
Yeah.
Again, is it financial? He doesn't, what worries me is the fact that he says he's got very close to her. How did that come about? Was it done in a halal way? Was it not? How, the fact that he found himself in a situation where he's got close to another woman, when really it should only be his wife that he's close to when it comes to the opposite sex, the opposite gender. So, he needs to again reevaluate that and think about how did I get into a situation where I have become so close to another woman that I'm actually now thinking I need to marry this woman.
Yeah.
And if through this marriage, what are the effects that it's going to have on his wife? And this isn't something that you think, okay, she'll come round, because it's not something that she'll come round and she'll get okay with it and then you move on, because it's something that's going to be in her face all the time.
Yeah.
It's it will affect their whole relationship. It will affect everything in their relationship. So it's a huge step to take. I'm not saying it's wrong. What I'm saying is that he needs to first think about what his intention is for doing this. Is it as pure as he's convincing himself?
Yeah, but how many people would help a lady like that, who doesn't technically mean anything to them in terms of, you're saying if he wants to help her financially, he could do that. But
it may not be just financial help that she, you think about it, if you've been married and you've got kids, it's not just financial help you need. If you're divorced, you want to have that emotional support, especially.
I don't know what it is that he wants. When he says he wants to look after her again, I don't know what it means. So.
And what she's expecting as well. And then also, has he asked her about how comfortable she is being a second wife?
Yeah.
How would it work? Will he have two homes? Will he be able to afford to have two homes? Again, we're assuming that he's financially well off. Maybe he's not.
Yeah.
Maybe he's thinking of giving her emotional support. But what about the finance of it all? How is he going to, cope with two mortgages, two rents, or whatever it is, taking care of his children and her children? All of these things have to be taken into. How much time does he have?
Yeah.
Does he have time to spend with his wife and the new wife to be? Will he have time to be a dad to all the kids? There's all of these things that come into it. So, and what if they have kids of their own as well? That's another added pressure. So I think he needs to put aside his feelings for this divorced woman that he has, and actually concentrate on the marriage that he already has, that he's committed to, and think about the effects of having a second wife on this marriage, and weigh out the pros and cons, and then sit down and have a conversation with his first wife before he does anything. Because if he's going to do it without having a conversation, it's going to blow up in his face.
Yeah, he needs to see whether it's worth the risk in that way.
Yeah, I'm not saying he needs to have her permission, but he needs to have a conversation so he hasn't gone behind her back. I think that's really, really important. So if he is going down this route, if he's decided this is what he's going to do, he needs to explain to her why, and he needs to sort of then hear her out and listen to what she's worried about and how then she sees it working, if at all.
Okay, thank you very much for that answer. I hope that helped our viewers as well. I've got a question here where a lady sent in saying, my husband and I usually get on very well and there are no major issues in our marriage, alhamdulillah. However, recently he raised the topic of moving to Iran for the purpose of studying at the Hawza in Qom. The thing is, I feel very settled here in the UK. The kids are in school, I have a great job, etc. I want to know if I am Islamically obliged to go with him. If I don't listen to and obey him, will I be committing a sin?
First of all, alhamdulillah that they have a good relationship. Also think about what you're willing to do for that good relationship to continue. How much of a sacrifice you can make. What are the pros and cons of going to Iran? I think rather than looking at it, are you Islamically obliged, look at it from your relationship perspective. She starts off saying that she has a good relationship. Now, that is a great alhamdulillah. you know, usually people write in to say how difficult the relationship is, you know. So the fact that she's already found someone who she's been able to build a good relationship with, and they have children as well. What are the pros and cons of going to Iran for herself, for her children, and for her husband? They're a family unit, so it's not just one person, but all of them. He's looking at it from the perspective of he wants to study Hausa. She's looking at it from the perspective of she's settled here. She's obviously, you know, built her life, which she's comfortable with. But they need to look at it from all perspectives. So how would it benefit her if she did go to Iran? What would be the negatives of going to Iran? How would it benefit the children? What would be the negatives of the children? Again, how old are the children? If they're older, then, you know, to pull them out of school and take them to another country, and then how would they come back and come, you know, how long is he planning to go? Is it, you know, does he want to go there and live there forever and ever, or does he just want to try it out for a year? Maybe they can try going there for a summer holiday and actually experience living there, because it might be, it might be something that he's, you know, romanticized in his mind, and it might not actually play out the way he's thinking. What are the financial implications of that? You know, because he'd have to leave his work here, and if he's studying in Hausa, what earnings are going to come in? Do they have enough savings to live off that? There's lots of things that they need to talk about. I think maybe if she starts having those conversations rather than blocking him and saying, no, this is something I don't want, end of story. So then what happens is, you know, her ego and his ego come into conflict, and nothing's resolved. So rather than that, saying, okay, this is what you want, and I understand that, you know, you really want this, let's look at practically how it would work out. Let's see, you know, what would be the effect of it on the children, what would be the effect of it on me, and then, you know, we can sit down and discuss it. So she's not saying she's going to go. What she's saying is, I'm willing to consider it and talk about it, look at the bigger picture. And I think that would already sort of, you know, mellow him a little bit, and then he may be open to other suggestions. You know, they might decide that, you know, he wants to try it for a little while, and then maybe call his family if he feels that it's something he wants to do. They might decide to go there for a few months in the summer holidays and try it out. There's lots of different ways of you know, working around it, rather than just, no, this is something I don't want and that's it, because marriage doesn't work like that. And then if he sees her compromising, then hopefully he'll compromise. You know, they can come to the idea of maybe him going there to study and then coming back every so often to be with his family, but then that's a part-time dad for the kids. Is that something you really want for your children? How will it affect the children? How will you cope having a part-time husband? What about his needs? And how will he cope being away from, you know, you and the family? You may actually turn around and, from the previous question, say, okay, you know what, you're allowed 4 wives. Maybe you go there and get married to someone there and live, you know, spend some time with her there, and then come back here and spend some time with me here. And we're both happy because you've got what you want, and you've got a wife there and a family there, and I've got what I want, and I've got, and it works for some people. So that's, you know, there's lots of different ways of looking at it, and lots of different perspectives, different things that they can talk about before.
And she's asked here, is she Islamically obliged to go with him? And if she doesn't listen to him, will she be committing a sin?
From a fiqh perspective, and I'm talking only purely fiqh, he has to financially provide for her in the way that she's used to, but where he does that is his choice. So if he decides to do it here or in Iran, that's up to him, as long as he's financially providing for her. Then she can't say no to him, unless she can prove that it is dangerous or unbearable hardship for her. Otherwise, yes, she does have to go with him. She would be committing a sin by saying no to him.
But if he gives
obviously
her the choice,
obviously if he gives her a choice, then that's up to her. But there's the akhlaqi aspect of, in a relationship, the fact that they have a good relationship, you know, that communication and conversations have to happen, where they discuss how it affects them as a family, each individual, and as a family as a whole. Would it be of benefit for the whole family to go, you know, to make this move?
I mean, I guess, as you said, it's about a conversation. If he's basically forcing her to go, and she goes over there and she's resentful and bitter, and
he's not going to be able to study.
He's not going to be happy either.
And he's not going to be able to study. So it's you know, it's sort of realizing that you've got to compromise. Both of them need to compromise. You know, if this is something that he it's his lifelong dream,
yeah.
then, you know, maybe she can compromise a year or so for him. And, you know, if it's something that, you know, she really, really can't handle, maybe he can say, look, you know what, let me go for a little while. Or there's so many different ways they can work it around, but it's about having those conversations again.
Yeah. I mean, I know some families that have gone for a few years, come back for a few years, and gone back again, or have worked around it in different ways. So thank you for that. I hope that the couple are able to work their way through it, inshallah, and you know, I hope they've been able to benefit from your advice. Thanks for that. We're going to move on to the next question. I've got someone here that's messaged saying, for many years I have suffered from hormonal acne, and it's made me lose a lot of confidence. For this reason, I wear makeup so that I can face the world, but Islamically, women are not allowed to leave the house with makeup on. I've tried every potion, lotion, and prescription medication you can name, but it hasn't helped that much. How can I face the world without makeup? Please help.
You feel sorry for the girl, don't you? It's quite sad that one, that, you know, she has this problem with acne, and secondly that her confidence is based on her looks. I think that's quite sad. I think that's something that I would encourage her to look into and try to sort of build her confidence in who she is rather than the way she looks. But the question's actually specifically asking about the idea of wearing makeup. The actual fiqh is not that a woman can't leave the house with makeup. It's you know, you can't make yourself wear things that will make you look prettier than you are, or you know, sort of make yourself stand out in the
things
society
that aren't
you're
already
living. In the society that you're living in. So, for example, if I was living maybe in Qum, you know, in the Hausa atmosphere where no one was wearing makeup, and I decided to wear even a little bit, it would make me stand out. Whereas living here in the West, if I was wearing a little bit to make myself look presentable, it wouldn't stand out, and therefore it wouldn't be against my hijab. So one is my niyyah for doing it, and the second one is whether I actually stand out or not. I think those things have to. So her niyyah for doing it is to hide the acne that she has, to make herself look presentable, which is what she said. And as long as she puts a small amount which doesn't make her stand out, so she's not going out with bright red lipstick and lots of, you know, eyeshadow and blusher and things like that, or, you know, putting the tip on her, you know, eyeliner and things like that, then I don't think there's anything wrong with it, fiqh-wise. I don't think.
But actually, I mean, from a non-Islamic perspective, I would have thought that the more makeup you put on, the worse your skin gets.
It will. So that's another issue in itself. But I think it's just whether she's allowed to wear it to go out, maybe when she's at work and things like that. But the more she uses, it's going to make the situation even worse.
I wonder whether she's tried to visit a specialist or actually tackle the actual issue.
Go to the actual doctor and get an appointment with a specialist, because I think, you know, if she could get an appointment with a dermatologist, that would really help, because there must be something that she can use. She says she's tried lots of lotions, but those might be over-the-counter lotions and things like that. And for something that's quite severe, she may need specialist help, maybe prescribed medication, which, you know, you can use. And also a lot of it's to do with your hormone imbalance as well. So, you know, they may give her something which may not clear up the, you know, to put on the face to clear up the acne, but it may be to sort of settle the hormones, which will then again help with the acne. But it's realizing that, you know, there's lots of things. So there's the fiqh aspect, where she can wear, as long as her intention is to ensure that it's to make herself presentable and not to make herself beautiful, as long as it's not something that makes her stand out. There's the aspect of, is she making the situation worse by doing that? So it's, you know, for the short term it makes her feel presentable, but in the long term it's actually making it worse. And the third one, which I think she really needs to concentrate on, is, why is her confidence based on the way that she looks? You know, her confidence should be more than that. It's who she is as a person. And I think she needs to be working on that and thinking about, you know, everything else that she is. It shouldn't be so superficial.
Absolutely. No, thank you so much. I think that's probably an answer that you've given, and advice that you've given that a lot of young girls and women can actually take a lot away from. We've actually come to the end of our show, so thank you so much for joining us once again. Thank you to our viewers for joining us once again on Heart to Heart. You can always email in with your questions, any problems, any issues that you might be facing at work or university or at home or at school on hearttoheart@safiratv.com. Thank you once again for joining us. Assalamu alaikum.